Shalom, and welcome back to day 59 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo. Dear God, thank you so much for waking me up today. Please guide me to your word so I understand your truth. Amen. Let's go. And today we'll be reading Joshua 4 through 6. After the entire nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord spoke to Joshua, "Choose 12 men from the people, 1 man for each tribe, and command them. Take 12 stones from its place in the middle of the Jordan where the priests are standing. Carry them with you and set them down at the place where you spend the night." So Joshua summoned the 12 men and had selected from the Israelites 1 man for each tribe and said to them, "Go across to the ark of the Lord your God in the middle of the Jordan. Each of you lift a stone onto his shoulder, 1 for each of the Israelite tribes, so that this will be a sign among you. In the future, when your children ask you, 'What do these stones mean to you?' you should tell them, 'The water of the Jordan was cut off in front of the ark of the Lord's covenant. When it crossed the Jordan's water was cut off. Therefore, these stones will always be a memorial for the Israelites." The Israelites did just as Joshua had commanded them. The 12 men took stones from the middle of the Jordan, 1 for each of the Israelite tribes, just as the Lord had told Joshua. They carried them to the camp and set them down there. Joshua always set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan where the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant were standing. The stones are still there today. The priest carrying the ark continued standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything was completed that the Lord had commanded Joshua to tell the people, in keeping with all that Moses had commanded Joshua. The people hurried across, and after everyone had finished crossing, the priests of the ark of the Lord crossed on the side of the people. The Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh went to the battle formation in front of the Israelites as Moses has instructed them. About 40,000 equipped for war crossed the plains of Jericho in the Lord's presence. On that day, the Lord exhausted Joshua on the side of Israel, and they revered him throughout his life as they revered Moses. The Lord told Joshua, "Command the priests who carry the ark of the testimony to come up to the Jordan." So Joshua commanded the priests, "Come up from the Jordan." When the priests carrying the ark of the Lord's covenant came up in the middle of the Jordan, and their feet stepped out on solid ground, the water of the Jordan resumed its course, flowing over all the banks as before. The people came up from the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and carried at Gilgal on the eastern limits of Jericho. Then Joshua set up the Gilgal and the 12 stones they had taken from the Jordan, and he said to the Israelites, "In the future, when your children ask their fathers, 'What is the meaning of these stones?' you should tell your children, 'Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground, for the Lord your God dried up the water of the Jordan before you until you crossed over, just as the Lord your God did the Red Sea, which he dried up before us until we had crossed over.' This is so that all the people of the earth may know that the Lord's hand is strong, and so that you may always fear the Lord your God." When all the Amorite kings across the Jordan to the west of the Canaanite kings near the sea heard how the Lord had dried up the water of the Jordan before the Israelites until they crossed over, they lost heart and their courage fell because of the Israelites. At that time the Lord said to Joshua, Make flint knives and circumcise the Israelite men again." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelite men at Geribath Horelath. This is the reason Joshua circumcised them. All the people who came out of Egypt who were males, all the men of war, had died in the wilderness along the way after they came out of Egypt. Though all the people who came out were circumcised, none of the people born in the wilderness along the way were circumcised after they had come out of Egypt. For the Israelites wandered in the wilderness 40 years until all the nation's men of war who came out of Egypt had died off because they did not obey the Lord. So the Lord vowed never to let them see the land he had sworn to their ancestors to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. He raised up their sons in their place. It was these Joshua circumcised. They were still uncircumcised since they had not been circumcised along the way. After the entire nation had been circumcised, they stayed where they were in the camp until they recovered. The Lord then said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the disgrace of Egypt from you." Therefore that place is still called Gilgal today. While the Israelites camped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, they observed the Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month. The day after Passover, they ate unleavened bread and roasted grain from the produce of the land, and the day after they ate from the produce of the land, the manna ceased. Since there was no more manna for the Israelites, they ate from the crops of the land of Canaan that year. When Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua approached him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied. "I have now come as commander of the Lord's army." Then Joshua bowed with his face to the ground in homage and asked him, "What does my Lord want to say to his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army said to Joshua, "Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did that. Now Jericho was strongly fortified because of the Israelites, no one leaving or entering. The Lord said to Joshua, "Look, I have handed Jericho, its king, and its best soldiers over to you. March around the city with all the men at war, circling the city one time. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry 7 rams' horns, trumpets in front of the ark. But on the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, while the priests blow the ram's horns. When there is a prolonged blast of the horn and you hear its sound, have all your troops give a mighty shout. Then the city wall will collapse, and the troops will advance, each man straight ahead." So Joshua son of Nun summoned the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant and have 7 priests carry 7 ram horns in front of the ark of the Lord." He said to the troops, "Move forward, march around the city, and have the armed men go ahead of the ark of the Lord." After Joshua had spoken to the troops, 7 priests carrying 7 ram horns before the Lord moved toward and blew the ram's horn. The ark of the Lord's covenant followed them. While the ram's horns were blowing, the armed men went in front of the priests who blew the ram's horn, and the rear guard went behind the ark. But Joshua had commanded the troops, "Do not shout or let your voice be heard. Don't let any word come out of your mouth until the time I say, 'Shout.' Then you are to shout." So the ark of the Lord was carried around the city, circling it once. They returned to the camp and spent the night there. Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests took the ark of the Lord, and the 7 priests carrying 7 ram horns marched in front of the ark of the Lord. While the ram's horns were blowing, the armed men went in front of them, and the rear guard went behind the ark of the Lord. On the 2nd day, they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. Early on the 7th day, they started at dawn and marched around the city 7 times in the same way. That was the only day after they marched around the city 7 times. After the 7th time, the priest blew the ram's horns, and Joshua said to the troops, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." But the city and everything in it are set apart to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab and the prostitute and everyone with her in the house will live, because she had hid the messengers we sent. But keep yourselves from the things set apart, or you will be set apart for destruction. If you take any of those things, you will set apart the camp of Israel for destruction and make trouble for it. For all the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron are dedicated to the Lord and must go into the Lord's treasury. So the troops shouted, and the ram horn sounded. When they heard the blast of the ram's horn, the troops gave a great shout, and the wall collapsed. The troops advanced into the city, each man straight ahead, and they captured the city. They completely destroyed everything in the city with the sword, every man and woman, both young and old, and every ox, sheep, and donkey. Joshua said that to the man who had scouted the land, "Go to the prostitute's house and bring the woman out of there, and all who were with her, just as you swore to her." So the young man who had scouted went in and brought out Rahab and her father, mother, brothers, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her whole family and settled them outside the camp of Israel. They burned the city and everything in it, but they put the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron in the treasury of the Lord's house. However, Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute, her father's family, and all who belonged to her, because she hid the messengers Joshua had sent to spy on Jericho, and she still lives in Israel today. At that time, Joshua imposed this curse: "The man who undertakes the rebuilding of the city Jericho is cursed before the Lord. He will lay its foundation at the cost of his firstborn. He will finish its gates at the cost of the youngest." And the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the lands. Okay, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow for day 60. May you have a blessed day. Shalom.